Hi, in this week's 5 Minute Masterclass, I'd like to talk to you about the power of assessments. Assessments are done all the time in child protection work, and they're mostly done by local authorities, and they're done by social workers who are assigned to cases, be that as the child social worker, perhaps a fostering or an adoption social worker. And in many cases, the information that feeds into those assessments is taken from information shared by other professionals, which could be the referral, but it could be other information that you already hold on file. Now, as you know, when referrals are made, a local authority is then under an obligation to make an inquiry under Section 47 of the Children Act. And after making that inquiry, a local authority has to decide what further steps, if any, it needs to take in order to meet a child's welfare needs. And it's the welfare needs of a child that are continually at the forefront of all assessments that are being undertaken. And the question always has to be asked, what are the right steps to be taken for a child at any particular moment in time? And to assist local authorities in making those decisions, social workers undertake a number of assessments. And these assessments are things like an initial assessment after a referral has been made and after a Section 47 inquiry has been completed, core assessments being undertaken. There could be a social work assessment of needs, or a SWAN assessment as it's sometimes called. There may be risk assessments of parents or alternative carers, and perhaps other family members that want to have contact with a child. There are likely to be parenting assessments of either both parents together or parents separately with other partners. And there may be viability assessments of alternative carers for the children. Increasingly, I have seen in some local authorities that these assessments aren't being undertaken until a very late stage. My own view is that these assessments, such as the risk assessments, parenting assessments and viability assessments, need to be at least part of the planning process, very much at an early stage of being involved with a family, perhaps even before you've got to a pre-proceedings meeting or before you're considering taking legal advice. And the reason for that is these assessments will form your view and form part of your evidence as to how best to work with a family, what sort of work needs to be done with them, what sort of support do they need, what sort of involvement does a child need, particularly in terms of maybe CAMS involvement or in terms of extra support in a school. And all of these assessments ultimately will assist a local authority in deciding what steps need to be taken in order to meet the welfare needs of a child or children. It's important to note that any assessment that's been conducted and completed could be challenged, particularly the outcome of a risk assessment, a parenting assessment, or perhaps an assessment such as a fostering assessment of alternative carers if the outcome is negative. In my experience, a well-written, well-balanced assessment that's taken place with parents' cooperation, although I accept that can be difficult sometimes, can help and prevent difficulties arising at a later stage, perhaps during pre-proceedings meetings or perhaps when you've got into the court arena should the matter go that far. In my experience, good assessments and good quality assessments often prevent the need for matters going into court because you've done the work, you've assessed the situation, and if a child can go home with the right support, then sometimes there is absolutely no need for court involvement at all. And if there is need for court involvement, your evidence is done. Your evidence is there, and there may only need to be some tweaks as you go further through the proceedings. So, in terms of your assessments, I'm well aware that for some social workers who are already stressed, already tired, already absolutely overworked, it can be very difficult to get these assessments done on time. I'm also aware that there are some social workers who are amazing at this. In fact, most of you are absolutely amazing at doing these assessments, at getting them right, at being balanced, at being fair. And I want to assure you that your assessments can be so powerful that they can stop the need for court proceedings, and at worst, you can slow down and prevent children being away from their families for longer than necessary. And if needed, your assessments will demonstrate that you have given a family every opportunity in order to safely parent their child, or to make sure that they are able to meet the welfare needs of the children, and your assessment will show that they either can do that or they can't do that. So take your time with assessments, make sure that they're well written, make sure that they're well balanced, and prevent those difficulties arising at a later stage. That's it for this week, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.